Welcome to Wire Interviews, a special video podcast series created to showcase the diverse voices shaping optometry today. At Young Optometrists, we're all about empowering optometrists and students in their early years of practice by creating a dynamic and progressive environment to support growth and connection. We were created by optometrists for optometrists. We'd also like to thank Vision, our patron sponsor, for helping make this series possible. And before we begin, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are recording today and pay our respects to elders past and present. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies what it means to use your career as a platform for impact. Shereen Kassir is an optometrist, business owner, advocate, and content creator who's redefining what a career in optometry can look like. From her journey through clinical practice and developing a passion for behavioural optometry to building a strong voice online where she advocates for equity, representation, and meaningful change, Shereen has created a career that extends far beyond the consultation room. She's also the founder of Silk Co, a brand focused on silk-lined hair care for hijabi women, and has led initiatives providing eye care and eyewear to refugee families impacted by the war in Gaza. In today's episode, we'll be diving into her career journey, her clinical interests, her advice for students navigating an uncertain job market, and how she's used her voice to advocate for change, all while building a business and staying grounded in her values. Hi, Shereen. Thank you so
Thank
much for this talk today. We're going to start off nice and strong, but I just wanted to talk a little bit more about your career journey first. Can you tell us about your current career, optometry career so far?
Sure. So I graduated optometry in 2015 from UNSW. And I just knew early on as a student, I knew that I wanted to be in independent optometry. So I sought out as a student to work in independent optometry. And eventually I got a job on the weekend at an independent practice. Where I got to build really strong relationship with both the patients and my employer. And I think that was, a really good starting point for me, which, once I graduated, had that good relationship with my employer, it just made me a really strong candidate, and they were able just to take me on as a full-time optometrist very easily because they trusted me. And I was familiar with the practice and with how the independent practice worked. How I got into behavioral optometry, I kind of fell into it because the practice that I worked at, so I had a really amazing mentor. So she's the optometrist Sujin Nam. So she's a really great, pediatric optometrist, and just having that mentorship really evolved my clinical skills and interest in pediatric optometry or behavioral optometry. And so I was able to do my training first year out of optometry through the Australian College of Behavioural Optometry. That was included within my contract and included within my employment terms. So, and I was really fortunate to have that experience. I think with the change of optometry market, I don't know if that's employers offer anymore, but but I was really fortunate to be able to have that.
That's amazing what you said. And I guess getting into the journey really quickly, knowing what you want to do and then building up on that. What year, if you can remember when you were in uni, when you decided, oh, maybe this is a time for me to start building all these connections or start looking for this job in this independent practice or, find a mentor that I like. Was there a particular time and moment in your uni years when it kind of clicked a bit more?
I don't think it clicked. It clicked straight away. So I knew that I wanted to be an independent optometry, but I didn't really know what that involves. I didn't know anything about the optometry niches and the further clinical skills that you can develop, whether it was contact lenses or pediatric optometry or sports vision or low vision or any of that. But I felt like, because I valued autonomy and I knew that I wanted to focus and further my skills in a certain niche. And I knew that I would have the opportunity to do that within independent optometry. So I started working in an optometry practice second year.
Yeah.
So it was really, really early on. I knew this is what I wanted.
Was that, by
did
the
I
way, the
know?
same practice, sorry, that you ended up
Yes.
staying with?
Yes. So I was
Okay,
working there
wow.
for 5 years until
Yeah.
I graduated. So it was, yeah, so I think that was a really good experience to get in early as a student to develop that
Mm.
relationship. So that gives you an advantage when they're looking to hire an optometrist. If you told me that I was going to be a behavioral optometrist, I probably would have laughed because it's not something that I saw myself doing. Like it's something that I wasn't,
Mm.
intentional about, but I kind of fell into it. Especially as a
Mm.
student, um, it's really challenging testing children's eye
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
subjectivity.
When I'm in uni, it's like when I see a kid, I'm like trying to avoid that all the
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
time.
challenging
Yeah.
as a student.
Yeah.
Um, but once I fell into the practice and I started, to see a lot more, pediatric patients and just developing my confidence,
Mm.
it's really rewarding to be able to solve a child's visual needs when they've been turned away by other practices because they're too young or too difficult to test or and having that skills, it really builds their confidence, but it's also really rewarding. So I found myself really enjoying it.
It's great how you like bring up that pathway, like as a student, starting off early and like, yeah, trying to branch that and like, explore that for your career. Do you have at the moment any advice for students? A lot of them at the moment, they're currently really concerned about career opportunities, either
Yeah.
staying in metro, moving out regionally, or doing something different and trying something else. Based on your experience and also the experience of peers in your year as well, is there any advice you have for them? Is there anything they could be doing while they're still studying that might help create more opportunities?
I mean, I do believe that the industry has changed a lot in the past 10 years, but my advice would be to start early. So to start building connections early on. Look for practices that align with your vision or what you want to do. Test out different waters. You can try working at different optometry practices, different settings, see what you like. And it could be corporate optometry, it could be independent, it could be, whatever aligns with your vision. And once you find something that aligns with your vision, just go really hard for that. And building connections is really, really important. I know as a student, it's really hard to find time to attend events, optometry events, and CPD events. But I think it's really, really important to do so. Even as a first year optometry student, the optometry industry is very small. So building connections can be key. But also developing your identity, like your brand. What's your brand in optometry? Just developing your own brand that sets you apart from other candidates is really, I think in this time is more important than ever. With a
Mm,
competitive market. I find that most optometrists, after they graduate, they hardly pursue postgraduate studies in optometry to further niche their skills. So if you're able to do that, and even if, let's say, you could probably negotiate with your potential employer, tell them, okay,
that's
this is what
true.
I'd like to do. You might not be able to afford your full fees of the course, but if you can pitch that with your employer, they might be able to help or include that in your CPD allowance. So build your brand, start early, and yeah, build connections.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like at this time, at the moment, with how optometry is going, it's so important to really try to find ways to either upskill yourself or find your passions and really direct yourself to that path. Just really try out things while you're still studying. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about social media, about advocacy. You've been really using your platform as a content creator to talk about optometry as a rewarding career while also advocating for equal rights in the workforce. What made you passionate about speaking up about these issues and really pushing for change?
So advocacy is something that was sort of like a personal journey of mine because
Yeah.
I experienced inequality and racism as a student. Having that experience as a student and seeing also other students go through the same thing. And I think when you're in the moment, you don't realize the severity or how serious the impact of that, that experience is.
Mm,
But these experiences can have not only short-term impact on your confidence, but also long-term impact with how you build your identity and so on. As time went by, and I saw other students being impacted the same way that I was, and other students being affected the same way that I was, I felt the responsibility that I had to speak up. But when I say speaking up, I'm trying to focus on the positives of speaking up. It's, to bring awareness, to help other people that might feel like they don't have a voice, and just help to make positive change. So I think that was my, main drives to speaking up, but also because I knew that I had a platform. So I was a social media content creator, so I had a platform, and I have that responsibility of having the platform that I'm able to speak up when others and my voice might be able to reach wider audience as compared to someone that doesn't have a social media platform, especially after becoming a parent and just thinking, okay, my children might go through the same experiences as I did. That also was another factor that drove me to speak up.
Yeah, no, that's very inspirational. Thank you. Because I feel like, yeah, a lot of the time, even experiences that you have at uni and you think, oh, you might just be the only one, or it's something
Yeah.
that's more microaggressions, and you're like, is this right? Like, am I supposed to say something?
Yeah,
And
and I feel
yeah,
like as a student, a lot of students tend to internalize it as well. They think that it's their fault. Just seeing that, it really breaks your heart. Like you just really want to, yeah, just to help. It's easier to sort of ignore the issue than to tackle it
mm.
on.
It's also really interesting too for when you create those content and then people watching it, and you can see in the
Yes,
comments, they really resonate and they're like, this happened to me
yes,
too. And yeah, so
yes. It
it
happens
does make
everywhere.
a
It happens.
difference, right?
Yeah, it happens in the
Yeah.
workforce. Happens everywhere. Like it's yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
about this topic, obviously standing up, making a voice. It's sometimes speaking publicly about these issues can be quite challenging and also can be quite confronting. How do you navigate these conversations online while staying authentic to your values as well?
It is really scary to speak about this publicly. I took my time, so I only spoke about it when I felt I was ready. So
Mm,
just finding the right time, um, because also when speaking up, you might have a lot of backlash and a lot of support. So it could be both ways, and both can be overwhelming. Just knowing when to step back and knowing when you're ready, but also focusing on the positive things. If you get backlash, you can just ignore that and just focus on the positive things, like bringing the community together. I think that's what also help me navigate.
yeah. I also think it's so crazy how you have this platform, you've built up something really big, and then you also have a business with it as well, with Silco. I think that's crazy. I mean, one, how do you even have the time to do this, especially knowing that you're a
Honestly,
parent too? Like, how do you even juggle that?
I don't recommend recommend juggling too many things. That's something that I don't recommend for young optoms. With my business, it's something that it's just happened. I don't know if you know the story, but it was during the pandemic that when everything was slow, I wasn't working in optometry as much. We were in lockdown and we just had a lot more time than I usually would. I think I was discussing with my best friend. I think back then there was a hype of like the silk pillowcase. And
Yes.
wouldn't that be amazing just to have it on our like hair on our hijab, like
Yeah.
underneath our hijab? That idea became a product and it became the business.
Was it hard? Like, especially let's say you majored in optometry, no business background, no experience in that. It's and optometry is so science based. How did you go
Yeah.
from, I guess, doing that to going, let's create a product to where let's make it an e-commerce? How did
Yeah,
you do that?
it was very challenging, but I think my experience in social media did help. Also, yes, no background in business. We definitely did a lot of business mistakes that you learn from, but it was very scary at the time. But also, just everything, just being able to, I think even we tend to think optometry and fashion can be two separate worlds, but in reality, they do overlap in a lot of ways.
Mm,
I basically self-taught ourselves in how to start a business and how to create a product and how to launch and so on. So I think in optometry itself as well, like optometry, I see it as an art, the arts of being able to give your patient the best visual need that they need. No autorefractor or machinery can do the job that an optometrist can do. So I feel like it's optometry being an art in itself and being able to transfer those skills into fashion. It's not that much different in a way.
with everything now, by the way, I guess what is like the day in your life? A day when you're doing like optometry and then you have family and then you have business and then what's
It
it
is
like for Shireen on a normal working day?
it is chaotic. That's why I don't recommend venturing out into so many pathways, but I love it that way. For me, I find that
Mm,
fulfilling, but for someone else, it
okay.
might be overwhelming. But so for me, because fashion is something that I'm passionate about, so it doesn't feel
Mm,
like I'm working. I could stay up to like
right.
3 a.m. working on my business, And it doesn't feel like I'm working. It's because it's my passion. I work on my fashion business after the kids have gone to sleep. And that's usually
Mm.
after 8 p.m. And it could go on to the
Wow.
early morning. I also do content creation on my days off, like my,
Oh my
fashion
gosh, you're
business.
so busy.
I think without the pandemic, we wouldn't have started the business. In some cases, being able to slow down is not a bad thing. So
Mm.
just having that break or that pause where you can reflect to see where you're at and reevaluate yourself and just try and just express your creativity, work on your ideas. Having that
Mm.
pause, we didn't expect to go viral as well. During the pre-launch, we sold out before we got the products. So,
Wow. That's
and we were
crazy.
taking on pre-orders, so that was absolutely insane. It was very, very stressful as well because during the pandemic, the shipping time was taking 6 months, right? Like
Oh, oh
so,
yeah.
so it was so crazy, but
Yeah, what a
lessons from that.
journey. Another thing that I wanted to talk about as well is the refugee eye care program that you've also built up as well. Another passion project of yours, really. But yeah, it's incredible that you've been able to provide free eye care, eyewear to families affected by the war in Gaza. What inspired you to start this eye care program, and also what impacts have you seen providing eye care to this community at the moment?
Sure. So when I started my fashion business, I always told myself that if my business did well, that I was going to use my business to give back to the community. And I didn't know how or when, but I just knew that that was something that I was passionate about and I wanted to do. Watching, everything going on overseas, I felt very, very helpless. I really wanted to help, but I didn't know how. When I heard that refugees were arriving in Australia, and I got in contact with my local NGOs, and I started this program where we can offer eye care services to refugees arriving in Australia. It has been really rewarding just to be able to do that and to meet these families and give them the eye care that they need because a lot of these families arrived with nothing. A lot of them didn't have a chance to grab their glasses or medications or eye needs. So being able to provide these services to these families but also provide them promptly. So I would see these families just within weeks after they've arrived. And the children, for example, a lot of children would have, very high prescriptions that would make them legally blind uncorrected. They were about to start school in a few weeks, and so just being able to facilitate their visual needs and promptly, it has been really rewarding just to see that. I think it's probably the best thing that came out of my business, to be honest. Being able to apply my skills as well to help that to use my skills to benefit give back to the community. Every time I saw these families,
Mm.
they would give me like boxes of sweets or bags of sweets. So
That's
that
really
was what
sweet.
that came out of there.
Do you know roughly now with the program you created, how many glasses you're able to provide, or how many eye tests were you able to provide at the moment?
I actually have to go back and look at my records, but it would probably be over 100. Yeah, so around the 100
That's
mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they like home visits that you do, or creating like a small practice out of like the practice that you work at? How do these families are
Yeah,
able to
so
like, I
we
guess, reach out?
offer Yeah, so we offer both. I have portable equipment. A lot of these families don't have any transportation, so
Mm.
they actually request home visits. They're like, "Please, can you come?" Because we have no method of transportation. We don't know how to use public transport or
Mm.
things like that. So we do a lot of home visits, but also I liaise with certain practices that are close to the patients and they can come into the practice. I'm really fortunate to have good connections in the optometry industry where optometrists would be willing to help out or donate some glasses or even help us by allowing us to use their space for consultations. So I think that's been really helpful to do.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, I guess for those that might be listening into our podcast or might be seeing us on social media, and if they do want to help out and help you out, make a difference, what's the best way to contact you?
So they can actually go on my website. You can do a pay it forward, which is a donation that goes towards the eye care refugee program. But also, if you wanted to have a product as well, so the purchases from that product
Mm.
goes towards funding this program. So you can either purchase a product, but if you don't want to purchase a product, you can just donate directly, or you can just contact me.
That's great. Thank you. And I have one last closing question for you today as well. What's one message you'd like young optometrists and students to take away from the work that you're doing?
I think I went through, building your identity, building your brand. So that's a key to set you apart from other optometrists, but also try to find your passions and try to incorporate that within your career. Like, who would have thought fashion and optometry goes together? But I was able to incorporate, both of my, my interests, my hobbies into my career, and it just makes it more fun and it makes me enjoy my day as an optometrist. So I think finding your passions, but also you can try to incorporate that within optometry, you can find a way, build your identity, build your connections. I think these are the main three advice that I would give for young
Yeah,
optometrists.
that's great. That's very inspirational. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shereen, for this interview.
Thank,
I'm so amazed by what you're doing. And then, yes,
thank
we'll
you so much.
definitely put down everything. If anyone wants to support, if anyone wants to help out the eye care program, we'll put all the links and everything below. But thank you so much for
Yeah.
tonight. You've been such an
And
amazing
join
person to
join
talk to.
YO as well.
Oh,
I
yes.
was part of YO as a new grad
Oh,
optometrist.
yeah.
I really enjoyed being part of it.
I think you're such an inspiration. Thank you so much for this call
Thank you so much.
and best of luck with everything. I hope I see you around.